Hey, everybody, this is Tanya Osborne, Director of Community with Women Grow, and welcome again to us going live. We've been doing this now for a little while, and one of the things we always want to do is involve other women-led brands into our Women Grow community, as we always love to do. So first things first, Happy New Year, everyone. It is 2023, and we are ready to get it started. Our first event of the year is our post-holiday Women in Cannabis Entrepreneur Showcase. So why did we want to do that? You know, it is our thing that we always want you to support women-led businesses and women-led brands all year round. So what we're going to do all year round is introduce you to new brands for you to support. This installment is in conjunction with our partner, Curaleaf. So thank you for your support. And so I'm going to just bring all the ladies in so we can get started. So this is how it's going to go today. We're going to have our three guests. I have three amazing entrepreneurs that are going to join me for this conversation. And then what we've done is we have like some, I want to say little commercials of women who have submitted short videos where they get to showcase their brands. I figured we can get as many women in here as possible. We want to do that. So let us bring everyone up. The first person I'm bringing up is Adelia Carrillo. She is the CMO and co-founder of EventHi and also the co-founder of Brunch. Welcome, Adelia. Thank you so much for joining me. My next guest is Tiffany Yarde. She is the principal at SHOKi Beverage Corp. Welcome, Tiffany. And my next guest is Britni Tantalo. She's the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and co-owner of Flower City Hydroponics out of Rochester, New York, and also the Meta Vega Corp. Welcome, Britni. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me today. I appreciate you all. Okay, so let's just get started with some introductions. I'm going to start with Adelia. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Yes, thank you all. I'm excited to be here. And Tanya, you rolled my R's and my L's. My grandma would be so happy because I don't do that.
Oh, you don't?
No, I'm so horrible. I can't. I've tried. So you said
I actually learned Spanish at a very young age, so I just always throw it in there.
Well, I'm super excited to be here with you, Tanya, Britni, and of course Tiffany as well. So a little bit about me. I am as Tanya mentioned, I am the CMO and co-founder of EventHi. EventHi is an online ticketing platform catering to the cannabis culture. But just first and foremost, before that, I really started my journey off as a cannabis patient. I was reunited with cannabis through some of my own health ailments that led me as a last resort to turn to cannabis. And without that, I know for a fact my life wouldn't be where I am. Emotionally, physically, everything. Cannabis has truly been the plant medicine that's changed my life, and also now coming into the business aspect. So as the CMO of EventHi, we're doing some exciting things. I'm also the co-founder of Brunch, which is a women empowerment event series. And I also like to volunteer. So I'm on the board of the International Cannabis Business Women Association. This is Jane Project. Humboldt Grace and Lift events. So I like to stay busy. And again, I'm looking forward to today's conversation.
Thank you so much. Okay, Tiffany, you are next. Introduce yourself to our audience today.
All right. Can you guys hear me all right? Hello. So I'm Tiffany Yarde. I'm the co-owner of SHOKi Bev, Black women-owned award-winning food and bev manufacturer that makes spirit-free cocktails and bar snacks powered by cannabis in both Northern California and New York. Our all-natural flavors hail from our international travels and the rich West African and Caribbean heritage of our upbringing. SHOKi transports you to the shores of Ghana and the pristine beaches of Barbados for a taste of paradise designed for fun, zero-proof living. We've been on shelf since October 2020, and it's been a wild, wild ride. We're excited about 2023 as we continue partnerships all around the country, as well as developing new manufacturing techniques and sharing them with all our friends. So glad to be with you guys today.
Tiffany, that was amazing.
Yes.
That was amazing.
The life of pitching, as we're going to get into. All the things.
You got it.
All right, Britni, you're next. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Britni Tantalo. I am the co-founder and CFO of MetaVega Corporation. As Tanya had mentioned, we are a manufacturer of indoor growing equipment, and we service brick and mortar retail hydroponic stores and smoke shops throughout the country. I'm also the co-founder and CFO of Flower City Hydroponics. We are a grow store. So we service indoor and outdoor cultivation. So if you're a home grower or a medical patient, which you can now, grow so many plants in your home, we can set you up there. If you're a larger commercial grow, we can scale to that level as well. We're heavily involved in our community and being a resource within the cannabis space. Education is key. I do my best to try to cultivate women and minority women, such as myself, as well as their brands and endeavors. And participating in wonderful events like this at Women's Grow. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Okay, so what we're going to do today, obviously, we're going to give you time to talk about your business particularly, and then we have some time to drop in the other little, I don't want to say little, the other advertisements for the other brands that we're showcasing today. So we're just going to have a chat about navigating this space as a woman entrepreneur, because as we listen, I know at a certain point in time, we don't want to have to put woman in front of, entrepreneur, but right now there is a big difference. There's a difference how we navigate, how we're able to navigate. Sadly, the difference in accessing capital and funding, the differences in being able to scale your business to the degree of our male counterparts. So we got to do what we got to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
So first and foremost, I'm going to start with Britni. What inspired you to enter this space? Because it's not just because you know how to cook doesn't mean you should open a bakery. Are we fair in that?
Right. Yes.
So coming into this space and staying in this space and being in this space for more than 20 minutes, when you realize that you got here, you're like, oh crap, what did I get myself into? So what was your motivation to enter the space, Britni?
It's crazy. My story is kind of unique. My original profession, out of college was an accountant, and I thought that was where I should go and what I should do. And I found myself really hitting that glass ceiling. Men would get paid more than me. It was evident. I had to work 10 times harder. I got to a point where I wanted to become a mom, and corporate really doesn't always identify with that or make that really easy for women to transition. I met my husband, Jason, and we had gotten married and started talking about kids. And he has an extensive background in cannabis cultivation. And I've always been a connoisseur myself personally, because it helps me with, certain ailments myself. And we decided, what could we do to get into the cannabis space legally? And so we kind of put our skill sets together and took this passion that we've always had, but kind of had this stigma to, and we started MetaVega Corp in 2014. And we started with one product, and we drove up the East Coast and knocked on doors and met with small businesses and made relationships. And to be quite honest, the cannabis climate in 2014 was much different. Every grow store I walked into was owned by a man. And there was many times where they would not speak to me, acknowledge me. I mean, it was almost as if I was my husband's assistant. And so I had to earn my respect, and I educated myself, and my husband would direct them to me. And, things started to adapt and change, and I really found my footing, and I've been able to navigate, and I love it. And it's grown to wonderful women like you, where now I have this network. And I mean, I think that's what really kept me here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Jason is amazing. So
thank you. Thank you.
Tiffany, what was your inspiration to enter the space?
It's so funny. Britni, you and I have so many parallels. So I started out as an accountant back in 2005.
Wow.
I worked for Big Four accounting firms.
Me
Yeah.
too.
So
where were you at?
I was at
Tell me.
PwC.
I was
And
at
I
UI.
think
Yeah. Oh my God.
there we go. All right, sis. There we go. So, we share the acumen of just being great business women from corporate spaces, and recognizing what you navigate ultimately is that exact thing that Britni so well articulated: the stress and the pain of having to, earn your space, earn your seat at the table, all the madness that's attached to it, and how to develop your voice when the minute you open your mouth, it's seen as aggression. It's seen
Yes.
as it's
Yes.
wild. And so having to revisit, quote unquote, a lot of those very same situations in this modern time, 2020, 2021,
Right.
2023, honestly felt like, all right, here we go again. We'll roll up your sleeves. We're navigating more nonsense. So the cannabis industry was something that I fell into. I had no intention of ever getting into cannabis outside of a chance trip to the continent of Africa. It was my third trip to the continent and my fifth country. And I was with great friends and family and stumbled upon the wondrous cannabis plant. The only thing that I knew about cannabis back in 2017 was that my connect in New York was my connect,
Yeah.
and it's pretty funny how, you learn so much about the medicine of cannabis and how ignorant a typical consumer can be about the power and the health benefits that are tied to it. And so I've been in a road of discovery, of learning just how powerful the plant is as it relates to helping us manage our bodies, how we combat ailments such as cancer. It's wild, right? And so in 2017, I actually had my first cannabis drink. And it was on the continent, and it was fascinating because I learned more about nanoemulsion outside of the US than I did inside. So all that to say, it's a funny and wild story back then, but I learned so much about the plant. I thought, wow, I need to make sure it tastes good, it looks good. And if I walk into a store, why can't it have the same level of sophistication, this beautiful experience that I would with anything else? If it's just another plant, that requires responsible use. And I'm a curious one. And that's kind of what started the journey. And a few of my friends got together and we said, you know what? How about we have a go of it? Let's figure out what looks like in a legal market. And so from there, SHOKi was born. So it truly was just a measure of curiosity and a chance experience with cannabis in a very different form factor when drinks weren't even a thing back then.
Listen, and now the cannabis beverage lane is a lane.
Oh, it's explosive. It's explosive.
It's a
from
lane.
teas to waters to powders to instant packs to
I remember seeing my
beverages to carbonation to energy
Oh my
drinks to
goodness,
I could go on and on.
It's crazy. I love it. It's crazy though. Like so many options when you didn't before. It was just like put tincture in something and call it a day.
It makes sense though, right? Because some people don't like to smoke, right? Some people are not smokers. And you knew it was coming because people still want access. I love that
as I got older, burning is not my preferred method any longer. You know what I mean? So before we dump in, because we could talk about it. Adelia, what was your motivation to get into the space?
So mine did start off from a health ailment. I was in the corporate world. I wasn't an accountant, but I was in the corporate world.
Like, if you were an accountant,
I know, right?
Like, come on.
That would have been awesome. That would have been great. So what really began was going through a personal journey. My fiance and I, we got pregnant. And unfortunately that quickly turned to where I was having a lot of health complications. I ended up having an ectopic pregnancy and I had to have an emergency surgery. And so after that, physically and emotionally as a woman, I was going through a lot. I lost who I was. I didn't feel woman enough. I literally couldn't leave my house for almost a year. And the medicine it would always just make me sick. Like I would hate feeling dizzy. I would hate the side effects that the the medicine that they gave me. So as that last resort, my fiance said, you know, look at cannabis, try cannabis. And I laughed. I straight up was like, I remember from high school when I used to have the munchies and get like, and just giggle. And I was like, what do you mean? Why would yeah, for a good time. And he's like, no, like he had to school me. He had to tell me, you know, I was really uneducated at the time of what it could do for me from a medical aspect. And so that's when I reunited with cannabis. And yeah, like I said, from there, it just took off. I wanted to help this plant further its mission. I launched my first company, which was a media company, and closed that. And now we are to where we are today.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So, I know when I entered this space, it was almost like they were like, well, what else are you going to do? So it wasn't really that different. So I didn't experience the level of pushback besides like my grandmother, who, contrary to being a Jamaican, my family was not 100% on board. So anytime I see like Caribbean paraphernalia, I'm like, that's not true. So my question is, what did you experience any of that? Did you experience any pushback from like family? I'll go right to Adelia since we just ended with you. Was everyone on board 100% when you started cannabis?
So there's a couple of things. So I was in corporate. I was in the consumer electronic industry. So there's two sides to the story. With the consumer electronic industry, I got DMs right away. They're like, what are you doing? You're jeopardizing your career. Once you leave this and you go to that industry, you're not coming back. And then from a family side, I hid it, even though I'm an adult. My dad is a retired sheriff. My mom used to work for the district attorney's office. So I was scared. I don't care how old I get. I'm scared of my parents. And so I hid it. And then I forgot, I updated my LinkedIn, and right away I get a phone call from my dad. And he's like, what is this cannabis thing? But for them, it was really getting acceptance from them. I'm like, the career, whatever, I'll figure that out. But once he was like, no, we see what it's done for you. And if this is what has been bringing you back, like, we're all for it. We're for that change. So I got a little bit of both sides.
Okay.
I'm just glad of my parents' support.
Britni, how about yourself?
For me, it's kind of crazy because mine's more of a cultural thing. My father is from here, from America. My mother is from Korea, and so she immigrated here, and so my dad's very westernized. You know, you're talking. He knows about Bob Marley and Rod Stewart time, and you know what I mean. Like, he grew up during like cannabis times. My mother, the culture in Korea, it actually just became legal medically. It's very strict. The actual charges, if you get caught consuming cannabis, even as a tourist, is like going to prison. And they're starting to kind of loosen that mentality for medical reasons. They believe there's something there. They want to study the plant. But my mother didn't understand. So when we were teenagers consuming cannabis and stuff like that, she was hard on us. But as science, as Tiffany had mentioned, the benefits started to be, known to people, and people started to become more educated, and things started to become exposed. My mother was open-minded enough to see that and the benefit of helping people, and it actually changed her cultural viewpoint, where she became more accepting and ended up actually being probably a pivotal part of why we entered cannabis and our biggest supporter. I lost my mother unexpectedly last year. And, as I go through this process, I carry her with me. Towards the end of her life, she actually started taking CBD products. And I never thought that would even happen. But it comes to show how far we've come, and, the perception from when we were just, children.
Yeah, my heart goes out to you, Britni. I lost my grandfather a year ago. I still get a little choked up. So I'm with you. I'm with you. Celebrating our loved ones through just living a quality life is one of the best ways we honor their legacy.
Yes. Yes.
So I appreciate you.
Thank
You know, I am a first gen kid, right? So are
Mhm.
you. And all of us, like, taking on this call in various capacities. I've got one foot in the US and one foot in the Caribbean. And so
you.
for individuals who emigrated to this country, the biggest hiccup, of course, or should I say the worry and the fear, is doing anything that would get you caught up into a system that would deport you and remove you, and all the sacrifices and all of the pioneering you've done for your family and future generations goes down the drain just like that. And so unfortunately, cannabis is one of those prickly areas where you have to navigate smartly. And though the US has come a long way in regards to the medical programs, if you are still in a position where you're going for a green card, where you are looking for your citizenship, these are areas that are, again, are very, very harrowing. And, you have to be careful. And so I tell that to say stigma was the number one thing that I had to navigate with my family. Do you know how hard we worked for you to have the opportunities you have? We've all had
Are
those
we in the same
conversations.
family? No.
And the talk, when you walk out the door, you're representing not only yourself, but this family. Remember what it means. And again, as a 10-year-old kid, it's one thing to have that kind of pressure, but as an adult who, again, you've earned your way, you're independent, and then still get the lecture of, what are you doing? This isn't
Yeah.
safe. This isn't okay. And then of course the social conditioning around it, because you're immediately listed, or should I say labeled, as a vagabond, or a vagrant, or someone who isn't an upstanding citizen. And these
Right.
terrible stigmas, these lies, these horrible labels are things that we have to help our family unpack. And like Britni and Adelia, Tanya, have all said, it's the medicine, really. My grandmother uses CBD because of me. She recognizes the power in number one. I always tell Michael, when trying to destigmatize individuals, the number one thing I had to always start with was, you have pain. This plant's number one purpose is to help you with pain management, and that is through anti-inflammatory benefits. It can take the pain away out of your joints. It can help you walk a little better, sleep a little better. And if these can enhance the quality of your life, is it really that bad? And so that's always where the conversation starts. And, I become the family evangelist. I get the phone call, hey, my back hurts. What do I do? Well, first of all, let's figure out, make sure you got your X-rays first of all, and then of course think through the holistic medicines that are available to you. So you really do become that evangelist of your family, and you have a
Literally.
responsibility, which means that as operators, as pioneers, as those of us who are becoming what they call the settlers, those who have now walked the trail that's already been paven, making it and improving on it, we have a responsibility to be educated. Like Adelia mentioned in the beginning, I had no idea what cannabis could do. Now I'm like, oh my God, we could save lives, and that's the difference.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, let me drop one of our women-led brands, and then we can continue. They're like a minute, so sit tight. Let me find them. Our first one, and here we go.
Hi, my name is Latoya Rucker, and I'm the COO of Collexium. Collexium is a female-owned and operated cannabis cultivation and processing brand based in the city of Detroit.
Hi, and I'm Rebecca Collette, the CEO of Collexium. Collexium produces a wide range of products. We're producers. We produce a line of flour, which come in 3 different categories. We produce a line of edibles, some delicious dessert edibles, and we produce many pre-roll flavors that are popular around the state of Michigan. You can find all our products in retail stores around the state of Michigan, and you can follow us on IG at Collexium_Detroit, and find us on our website at www.collexium.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Collexium, right? I love it. Okay, so we know that you decided to do this. You're here. You're staying. We're not going anywhere. Tiffany, when you said what you said about becoming the person who everyone now comes to when they want to have questions answered about cannabis, down to like practitioners, because when you're so vocal, people like, so what do you know about this? And I'm like, I can't, what? I'm not a doctor, but it is an amazing to be able to point to people also, because we're all in this community. We probably know, I know some amazing practitioners in the space. So to be able to point to folks that can help is always amazing. All right, so
Tanya, can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
To your point, we held an event at our hydroponics store, our grow store, where we linked up with a licensed practitioner. And when it went legal, we allowed people to come into our store and have access to a practitioner, and we had a line out the door.
I remember that event. I remember that event.
And to be honest with you, majority of them were elderly.
Wow.
And I was kind of shocked. I'm talking, pretty far up there. And they wanted to learn how to grow their own medicine because they don't want to take opioids. And a lot of people can't find, access to a practitioner that will write a script. So, it is so important to advocate and give people access. And we're a firm believer in here in upstate.
And in New York State proper, we got home grow in October of last year. Right now in New York State, if you want to participate in home cultivation, you do need to be a medical patient. So that's why that event was so amazing. And I'm imagining my mother and grandmother were incredible growers of vegetables and fruits. They know how to do that stuff. Like if you got a senior, and he starts cultivating, I'm going to go visit because they know what to do. So I understand that completely. And then there's a lot of costs. If you can mitigate your costs and cultivate at home, I think that's amazing. So let's pivot a little bit because one of the big things right now for women entrepreneurs in every industry, including cannabis, is the ability to raise money to scale your business. Women Grow last year, I noticed a shift in our trajectory because when we first started in New York, when I started working with them in 2015, we were really just encouraging women to get into cannabis. We wanted to see more women in CEO, C-suites, as entrepreneurs in the space. And we've had an incredible influx of women entrepreneurs in cannabis. So Gia, the amazing Gia, I noticed there's a slight shift in, now we need to make sure that these women stay in business. How do we make sure that they are funded? How do we make sure that they have access to capital? So my question is have you, in your business, have you attempted to raise money for your business? And I'm going to start with Adelia.
Yes. So for two of my businesses, I was able to raise some capital. My first one, which was Direct Cannabis Network, that's no longer in business. I actually went through an accelerator. It was called Canopy San Diego. It was a spinoff to the Canopy Boulder. And so I was able to raise pre-seed money through them. And now with my current business, EventHi, we've raised pre-seed, and now we are opening up our seed round. So it's a lot to learn, a lot of learning curves that I've definitely had to learn the past couple of years.
I can't even imagine. Tiffany, how about you?
Yep. We also raised money pre-seed ultimately through not only friends and family, which is honestly the backbone of where you'll get your early capital, which requires you to be able to tell your story, have basic financials, and show folks a runway. What could you really do? And then through pitching, through networking, and of course, working through a wonderful network called Pipeline Angels, which is one of the premier angel networks that really works with women, underserved, those who identify as women, really, really great people of color. I mean, it's a phenomenal investor circle of individuals who are about diversity in all manner of industries. And of course, because SHOKi not only straddles cannabis, but also the non-alcoholic sector as a larger market, we were able to attract several private investors to support us. So that's how we've navigated it. But I always tell folks, practice makes perfect. And so if you see a pitch competition and you're not 100% sure what the outcome will be, it's not always about the dollars, it's about the relationships, the exposure, and those introductions. So just throw your hat in there and you get better over time. That's just how it works.
Absolutely. How about you, Britni?
Honestly, I haven't had to look for funding. To Tiffany's point, a lot of where we were able to achieve having a store and having, you know, our wholesale company came through our network. Our net worth was our network. And we were able to build relationships where they were able to help us to where maybe they might give us credit terms so we could stock our shelf and get a little ahead. And, you know, since we started on the wholesale side and we sort of disrupted the market, we had earned the respect of a lot of the larger wholesale companies. And we've kind of developed a relationship with them, and they helped us when it came to our grow store. So, to Tiffany's point, those relationships are critical. You just never know when, you know, that relationship will help you. And it's definitely served us well.
Fantastic. So, I was going to ask what was your experiences, but really I'm going to skip that part and just go, what did you need to do to prepare to get yourself ready to start fundraising? And I'll start with Adelia.
So there was quite a bit. You know, we built out our due diligence room, is what we kind of called it. It's basically a drive, and you have everything there. You have your layout of who your team is, you have your financials, your projections, your overhead, everything that really pertains to your business. What I found interesting though, and it was something that, you know, as you grow up and you're building a business, and a lot of the time the investors weren't so focused on your business, like a full business plan that was pages and pages and pages, which was so interesting because I'm like, we were always taught to like have it. And of course it's vital for us to have it because we need to know, you know, what is our plan, but they didn't even want to see it. So that was just interesting. One thing I notated on that. But yeah, it was really just breaking down the whole company as a whole. What was a little different with a media company raise to an event with EventHi. With EventHi, we were still just an idea. So we didn't even have our software yet, which was a little bit harder. I would say a lot harder because they didn't know what we were, you know, like we were just talking about what we were going to do. And so luckily we were able to really hit the ground running and launched at least a private beta to show investors what we were looking at. And but yeah, that was pretty much it. The building our due diligence room was really the biggest thing that investors wanted. And that's kind of what they knew if we had that we were kind of ready to be raising. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Tiffany?
Number one for us was about building the team. That's really the backbone to most of these ideas. If an investor can trust you to say, hey, I know you're the one to do this, and I trust you to build a team to execute. That's really what you kind of go through the whole process of. Most investors who know what they're doing anyway, ultimately can tell very quickly if something's going to work or not. And they already know that financials are all projections. It's all fluff anyway. No one knows the future unless you have a crystal ball and it works, right? So at the end of the day, you've got a long relationship building process. And coming from corporate, training up other professionals in my life for law firms, you get a business card in January 1. It takes about 18 months before you actually see your first book of business from that one introduction. So long game matters, and that applies to all manner of business. So anyone you meet at the conference this year, think through a year from now, how do you keep that relationship going? How do you make sure you stay top of mind? And of course, how do you build and be a value add? And at the same time, make sure that data room is clear, right? So your deck shouldn't be more than 5 or 6, pages, hitting the big major points. What's the problem? How do I solve it? Who's doing it just a little bit better than me? And how do I make that work for the service in the area, the certain section of the market that I'm targeting? Who is my person? Who is my avatar? And so when I told that story,
I like that you put who is doing it so you can have a framework. Yeah. I didn't think of that. Okay.
Yeah. And those are things you pick up, as Adelia so well talked about. You learn these things over time. Look, we've all had really bad pitches. We've had places you walked out of a room, you're like, oh shit, I totally messed that up. Darn, oh man. And you learn from those moments. You learn so much more from your failures than you do your successes. And you just get better, you get more confident. You can realize, you know what, I'm in here because I'm solving a problem. And these folks can't do it better than me. And knowing that really helps with your, drive. But again, just to come back to your question around what does it mean to prepare and get ready for that, you join pitch competitions. That was our number one thing. Our first pitch competition in cannabis was in a basement in Hoboken, New Jersey in 2018, before we even had labels for our bottles. We had glass bottles hanging like, hey, listen, let me tell you about nanotech. What the hell is this? And so, truth be told, we won that competition. But again, it's all about the storytelling, being able to say, hey, this is what we do. And you get better over time with that. And the people in the room will remember you if you stay top of mind for them, AKA send your emails every now and again to let folks know what you're doing. And again, we can talk about that in a separate, in another segment of this, but that quarterly or monthly update can be your lifeblood for people that may still be on the fence about you, not sure what's going on with your company. Hey, for SHOKi, we actually break it down to 3 parts: what we did, what we're doing, and what we plan to hit next quarter. And then we measure that, and back into the next one, what we did. So it's a continuous story. And then, you reach out, say, hey, Tiff, I want to stay on top of what's going on. I don't know if I'm going to invest right now, but keep me in the loop. That has proved to be such a support for the company as it's been continuing to grow and navigate this ever evolving space. So that's how you do it. And Adelia said, that data room is lit. Put your deck in there, put your financials in there. But what matters is the team. That's it.
100%. The team, and I'm actually thinking, like, how did you pick your team? Like, who did you look at and were like, I want to add them to my team? What qualities did you look for in selecting a team? I know that wasn't on our question list, but I'm really curious.
Oh man, this was on the list. What are you doing? So, shout out to Barbara Clark. Her book is called Build Your Board, Build Your Business. She's a phenomenal impact investor. And
what is it, Barbara
Clark? Yeah, I can put it. I can put it. Am I able to put links in chats from my side?
Can you, if you see the comment section, you could drop the name and the title in the comment section, and then it'll go to everybody.
Okay, name, title. Okay, got it. I'm gonna throw it right here.
Okay, cool.
There you go. Okay,
cool.
Sorry, I'm not as technologically inclined. There we go. That was intimidating. All right, so yeah, so Barbara does a really great job of helping you see the forest through the trees. Your end goal, knowing what you're good at and what you're not good at, and saying, all right, I've got serious holes here in my leadership, serious holes in what I can do. I need a board, I need advisors. Those advisors sometimes end up becoming your partners. Because they know things that you know that you don't know, and vice versa. And so when you're looking for building out your team, people who share your same energy, you're working with these people next to you all the time. So, Tanya, shout out to you, Women Grow. I've met so many amazing women who are stellar leaders who were just looking, hey, maybe I want to join the team, or maybe I have this idea, but I can't flesh it out. Maybe two minds are greater than one. Let's see if we can come together. I've seen so many businesses birthed through Women Grow, from teams that just met each other through networking and just going to coffee and falling in love with each other, saying, hey, let's try this. Because, businesses fail for 3 reasons. 1, because the team is shit. 2, the product is shit. Or the timing is off and you're running out of money. Those are the 3 things. And so if you can get 2 out of 3, and most likely, the money you can figure out over time, if you can, again, if you're financially savvy enough to stretch a dollar, that team and that product or that service is stellar, you'll figure it out because you've got the right people. And picking the right people for me has been just keeping my eyes out for people that I just love their energy, love their drive. And I see where their weaknesses are my strengths, and I see where my weaknesses are their strengths. But you have to be humble enough to know what you're not good at. I know what I'm not good at. So you build folks around you who can. And you find people who will respect you, and folks will respect that. Not everyone can respect individuals that they see holy, right? Again, I can go deep on that when it comes to relationships and people. But you want to make sure you're around people that you're comfortable with letting them see you sweat. And to know that they'll honor you in that space. That matters so much for your leadership team. And you'll meet those people because you'll connect with them on a level that's, hey, I feel like I met you before, or I feel like there's something here. Can we work together and keep respect between us? Relationships break down from a loss of respect first and foremost. And so if you can keep that going, and we have a communication framework that can meet us in the middle every time we have a disagreement, you got a fighting chance of making this work. So that's really kind of how it goes, and showing up and meeting new people, and of course being clear on where your weaknesses can be a strength for someone else.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tiff. You're kind of awesome there, lady.
Yeah, that was well said. That was amazing. I can't top that all. That's all the great valid points.
This will live on our YouTube channel.
Those are from war wounds. War wounds. That's what
You want to rewatch this? It's going to live on our YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter pages if you want to go back and watch that. So, Britni, I want to wrap up with you before we drop another video. When you were getting started, when you just were getting, what did you do to prepare? Because opening up a brick and mortar is not easy either. You know what I mean? So, what did you do to prepare?
I think for us with our grow store, we were lucky that we had started MetaVega Corporation, because that's where we really figured out who we were. And that's where we were able to kind of know what we don't know, and try to lean or reach out on things that we weren't so strong in. So we had our trials and tribulations there, that by the time we decided to feel comfortable to have a grow store, we were like, we are able to now give this to our community and be able to have the relationships with the suppliers and, you know, the business acumen to actually execute it properly. So I think MetaVega really gave our grow store that for us to prepare. It was that, you know, relationship built initially that carried us forward. As Tiffany had stated, you don't know if a year later if that business card is going to, you know, where that could bring you. And that's exactly our story. We had started MetaVega, and, you know, we're talking 7-8 years later, we open our grow store, and we didn't plan on having a grow store. And it was all of those things that Tiffany had discussed that led us in preparation of being able to execute it. So it's quite fascinating.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tiff. All right, let me drop another video.
Hi, my name is Ronit Pinto. I'm the publisher and founder of Honeysuckle Media. We are women-led, women-founded, women-run, and we cover cannabis, culture, racial justice, a plethora of impactful topics. Our offerings include pioneering opportunities in out-of-home, print, digital events, creative film, corporate video, headshot, you name it. Follow us at Honeysuckle Magazine on Instagram, www.honeysucklemag.com. We have a Fashion Week February 9th event at the Cookie Store in Herald Square. Come see us and hit us up for sponsorship opportunities. Thanks.
Ronit over at Honeysuckle. We love Honeysuckle. I remember when they first came on the scene, and they have blown up. So get your subscriptions at Honeysuckle. All right. So our next one is, so as we all want to scale our businesses and grow our businesses, what does that look like for each of your businesses? Because obviously what we're going to do is we're going to blast this, and we want people to support where they can, you know? So Tiffany, what does it look like to scale SHOKi to where you want it to be?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks so much. It's a great question. And for CPG products, as a general matter, consumer packaged goods, you know, in traditional markets, like, you know, all the gorgeous brands you see in Whole Foods, for example, you know, those are still sliver margins. I mean, folks are not out here, you know, buying yachts for those wonderful founders who started these gorgeous products, whether they're vegan or non-GMO or just fun international snacks. Like, you don't make a lot of money, you know, unless you're scaling it like, you know, 10,000 units a day, right? You know, not everyone has the Cliff Bar story, which is, again, a 10-year, decade-long story that was in the making before they made their first $2 billion in a sale, right? And so all that to say, for folks who have packaged goods, like SHOKi, which we just make packaged beverages as well as small bites and bar snacks, partnerships. So what we bring to the table ultimately is a pretty much turnkey manufacturing capacity. So we'll show you how we run our kettles, our hot fill methods. We'll pretty much give you an entire system. You can drop it in there for less than 450 square feet, and we can get you up and running to produce our products from a licensing model. And so you're able to enter your market with a very awesome product that's already been baked. That's all, pun intended. It's already been tried and true through several markets across the country, which includes California and New York. And so if there's partners out there in the world who currently have manufacturing capacity and looking for awesome brands to produce in their local market, so call us up, because ultimately we're a great branding company. We're a great marketing company in the way of how we tell our story and the level of premium quality we bring to the packaging of said beverage. And so really excited to meet those who are interested in how to take their packaged goods to a new level. And so anyone interested in getting involved with us in that way across all the states where there is recreational cannabis licensing models available, we're here to help, and we're here to help you really connect with consumers who are looking for the next level of their cannabis experiences.
Awesome. Thank you. Adelia, what does scaling look like for you?
So scaling to us, initially it just started really off growing organically through the event organizer community that we've been able to connect to. For us, it's two things. It's making sure that we're always enhancing our software. We're bettering our experience for users, whether they're event organizers, event goers, or brands. It's really listening to them. We've been able to grow, or we've built our technology from the ground up. So it's all of our technology. So what that allows us is a lot of freedom to listen to our event organizers and understand their pain points as an event organizer. And so that's one of the biggest things, is paying attention to our software so that we can scale it and meet the needs of our event organizers. But then it also goes into the community. So we have a loyal community at EventHi, and it's not just event organizers, it's event goers. It's so exciting seeing them spread the word of like, hey, do you want to know the latest events? Go to EventHi. And, they know that that's the spot to check out all these events. So growing our community of event organizers is key. Connecting with more brands that want to learn about sponsorship opportunities is the next component. And then obviously continuing to market to event goers, keeping them excited and engaged with EventHi so that they can learn about all the different events that are happening. For us, we've been able to scale. We're in 47 states. Some of those states are still early, so they're more educational events, but being there and just growing organically has been key. And that's really what our focus is, to keep it authentic and really close to that community approach so that we can continue to scale the way we are.
Awesome. Thank you. And Britni.
Okay, well, for us, our goal is similar to Adelia's, is we're very community focused, especially in home cultivation or cultivation of cannabis in general. There is a lot of education behind it that isn't there. Most legacy growers or people that grow, they learn through trials and tribulations. How somebody grew 10 years ago. I mean, technology nowadays is so different. It's way more affordable. They've improved processes. They've expanded in the science application on how to enhance the plant. It's quite fascinating, how much this industry has progressed. So what really differentiates Flower City Hydroponics to be able to scale is that we have combined over 20 plus years of cultivation experience, not only from a home grow, but from a commercial level. So if you are a new licensee here in New York State, and, if they decide to open indoor canopy, or you have a greenhouse, we have access to leading, global companies with top engineers to do fertigation, irrigation, lighting, anything that you would need, and be able to put that together and facilitate it for you. But if you're just a local person and you're a medical patient and you're like, hey, I got a closet, I think I can do 2 plants, we can take care of you too. So it's really that educational piece to hopefully continue to open more stores and continuing that education. We're considering doing local classes on how to clone, little things like that, where people can plant touch with hemp, not CBD, not actual, THC plants, and just really allow people to plant touch and understand and see what they can do. So that's the goal, is to expand to more store locations and share the knowledge.
Awesome. Thank you. We're going to drop another video. We have 2 more to drop before we wrap. So here is one more.
I'm Rebecca Slacken, co-founder and CMO at GrassPass. GrassPass is a free web-based app providing members with a premier shopping experience at dispensaries. Enjoy perks like favoriting products you've tried, ordering ahead for easy pickups, member concierge service, and the ability to skip the line at GrassPass affiliated dispensaries. Our members also enjoy incentives and discounts at women-owned and led non-dispensary partners like the Healing Rose and 420 Science. Ideal for adults who are just starting their cannabis journey to experienced users, GrassPass offers an all-encompassing VIP experience with every trip to the dispensary. By using GrassPass, our members know exactly what to expect, making every visit feel safe, easy, and enjoyable. And it's free. Sign up for free to become a member at members.getgrasspass.com or learn more about GrassPass at getgrasspass.com.
GrassPass, I think they're out of Massachusetts, so we love them. So again, all these women-led brands you should be following, you should support. So my next question is, as we start to kind of close to wrap up, you're all brilliant women, you know, what do you do to gain more information? Like what are you reading? What are you studying? What periodicals do you like? What do you use to keep yourself? Because obviously, you know, cannabis stuff we can learn. We're already in it. You know, people give us information. That's a little bit, you know, we're gonna get that. But this entrepreneur stuff, you know, this raising money stuff, what are the resources that you've used to help you? I'll start with Tiffany.
Oh, they're muted. Yeah. So where do I start? So I am a voracious reader. So I do love autobiography, and I also love nonfiction. And so the books I read, you know, I think of, you know, Dan Coyle's Culture Code. I have a subscription to The Economist. I think, you know, keeping your head above the noise and trying to remember there's a big wide world out there really helps you keep things in perspective. There are so many challenges and interesting stories and dynamic things happening all around the world. And I do find that again, this is not to say The Economist paid me for this, but like, I mean, it's one of the less skewed or biased readings out there right now. Because everyone's got an angle. And I do appreciate that it helps me get out of my own head sometimes. Addition to that, New York Cannabis Insider, I actually like their pieces. I do I read a lot, and so a shout out to a book that most of us know like the back of our hands, Venture Deals by Brad Feld. It's a phenomenal place if you just never thought about, you know, what does it mean to build a company that I could have investors come to the table to? You know, it helps you kind of frame and see what it takes to get to that table. And it's really interesting because it puts in such a digestible format. It's a great read. Other books that I love, The Body Keeps the Score. That's I always butcher his name. Essel Van Dessel. Again, forgive me if I butcher his name, but that's a great book. It's a heavy read, but I'm all about, you know, what does it mean to develop professionally, personally, spiritually, and we're always, you know, I'm a life learner. And so I'd say that those are some of the books that I'm reading right now, business-wise, macro, micro, and everything in between. But look, we live in a global world. We have a responsibility to know what the heck is going on with our neighbors, whether you want to or not, you know, die and pay taxes. That's what it's all about. So let's die well. No, I tease. Those are some of the books that I like.
Thank you. Adelia, what's in your roster of information?
So mine's the same. I love books and I love podcasts. Like those are the two things I'm always just engulfing myself in. Like if I'm not in a car, it's weird. I found myself lately either driving in silent because there's just so many things in my head that I'm going through, or I'm listening to a podcast. But a couple of those podcasts, let's see, I'm trying to pull up the ones that are my favorites. So there's Business Wars. I love listening to the 20-minute VC, especially when fundraising, because they're talking with venture capitalists. And so you're learning nuggets of like, what do they like? What do they invest in? Or, you know, what they've learned along the way. So that's a really good podcast. A couple of the books. So The one that I recently read was the Burnout Challenge. I'm type A, so I'm always like overworking, and I'm like, I have to stop because it's not a good example for the team, for people that are working with me, because I feel like that could make them feel like they have to work like me, and it's not right. So I needed to kind of bring myself back to reality and say, what is good for me? Like, why am I always working so hard? And I need to give myself more time. So the Burnout Challenge was a great one. And right now I'm actually reading Deep Purpose. I just started. It's the heart and soul of high performance companies by Ranja Galudi. So this one I just started. So I'm excited to see what this one is going to be about.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. I wrote notes. That I love a podcast because reading, I'm going to say it because I know I'm not alone. Reading is like natural Viagra for me. I'm falling asleep. And not Viagra. What is the other one? The one that makes you sleep. Valium, not Viagra. Lord have mercy. Valium. Because I fall asleep. I'm going to read 3 pages and I'm going to be asleep. But a podcast, I could do stuff and move around and listen. So, oh my God, that was hysterical. So thank you for that, because I'm going to be checking that one out. Because one of the things I want to do, I have the Canna Diva also, a little plug to the Canna Diva. And I want to be a person that can send someone resources and be a person who can, do that. Because, I people come to me and ask me stuff, and sometimes I'm not a big reader, but I listen to a podcast, boy. It's like, ooh, a reading or audiobook is another thing that I've been doing a lot lately, is an audiobook, Okay, Britt, what do you got? What are your resources that you'd like to share?
Mine's not so fun. I tend to follow, honestly, a lot of the regulations, and I tend to follow OCM, only because in my business, I'm just so directly impacted. Like with the example when medical cannabis could home grow, those regulations were really crucial for our business to kind of capitalize and pivot and give people access directly, because we have all of the equipment and supplies. So that's really important, and just on how to navigate, because they've changed so much. And I know Women's Grow and many people out there, for those that are intimidated by the regulations, take the time to break them down and read through them and have discussions. And I really encourage people to participate, because there's so much value, especially for those that look at us and they're like, man, where do I fit in? What can I do? And people need to remember that cannabis is more than licenses. I mean, I'm ancillary to this space, and these women here. And so, really look at the skills that you have and how you can apply them. And that's really going to serve you well. To name drop one book, it's not so much just focused on business. And excuse me, I can't remember the author, but it's called Crucial Conversations. And I think it's important that people take time to learn how to develop themselves. I know we talk a lot about like how to build this and how to do that, but it really starts with your own skill set and how you navigate people. That's going to be the key to cannabis, is your relationships. And I think if you look into the book Crucial Conversations, you'll gain a lot of value. It's helped me to navigate conversations. This climate is rocky at moments, and it's a great read.
Thank you. Wait, hold on. Let me mute somebody.
I was gonna shout out to that's Joseph Britni. Yeah, that's a really good book. Yeah, I just put it in the
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. It's a wonderful resource, and
it's great
how to develop the communication skills needed to navigate, which is what life is, people, and how to communicate better with each other. I couldn't agree more. And shout out to OCM and reading. It's a wonderful, wonderful plug there. I'm membership chair for CANI, the Cannabis Association for New York, and one of the benefits of the group includes OCM updates. Right now, the way the OCM site is set up, it's not really easy to see when something's changed, something's been updated, where comments are. And so they've made actually a feed where you actually see what's been updated every single week. And so really interesting to your point about, shout out to other makers in the space as well. I know there's some really great cannabis folk in New York who are using it's a wonderful framework. And again, I forgive me for missing out on who told me this. I thought it was wonderful. Taking the OCM regs, because again, it's very meaty. It's exceptionally, you know, a very thick read, section by section, and then teaching it to someone else as a form of learning. And so they actually set up their own little framework where they're actually putting out newsletters to just their personal colleagues and things of that nature to help them retain, understand, and then teach someone else. So really cool way to develop a system to navigating it, because it's a lot, and it's evolving, because now we're in a comment period right now, right? So really glad you raised that. Really important.
And because honestly, if you're going to navigate cannabis or ancillary or not, plant touching or ancillary in your state, you need to know the laws and the rules governing that state. Shameless plug, the Canna Diva on January 17th is doing a Read the Reg live event. We're going to break it up into segments.
I love it.
So that people can watch, because we do want OCM, Office of Cannabis Management, that's here in New York. We do want people to utilize that public comment period, because if we get regulations that you don't like,
right,
and you said nothing,
right,
you don't have a voice if you don't use it. You know what I mean? Let me drop our final video, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Okay.
Hi, my name is Lauren Mealy, and I am the owner and founder of Kush Cards, the world's first cannabis-themed greeting card where one can strike a match and light the pre-roll you attached, or the one-hitter that's included. I started my company back in 2015 when there was a need to gift cannabis and simply no way to do it. So I created a niche market of cannabis gifting for the young professionals like myself looking to give the perfect gift with the lift. I'm originally from New York, where I started. I graduated the Fashion Institute of Technology. I have sold over 500,000 Kush cards and coming out with new products left and right. Check out our new wrapping paper, which is available on kushcards.com with the K, and also on social media at kushcards.
Love Lauren from Kush Cards. In fact, I met Lauren literally when I first came into this industry. Like she said, she was here in New York. I met her, and then she moved out to the West Coast to really blow Kush Cards like out the water. And she is killing it from, like, see, wrapping papers now. So I love that, because literally we've been in this around the same time, and to watch her growth is astounding. So big ups to Kush Cards. Okay, so as we wrap up, I have two last questions. Is what can community do? Because we are all about community. What can community do to support your brand? And I'm going to start with Britni.
I would say just check us out. Go to our Facebook, our social media platforms at Flower City Hydroponics. We offer a lot of tutorials and education videos that are shot right in our store. So if you're interested in home cultivation, or if you're a licensee or looking to pursue that venture, to definitely reach out. We make ourselves available. If you direct message with any questions, we'd be more than happy to help. If you're in the upstate area, please stop into our store and come and meet us. We'd love to take care of you. But yeah, really just look into the work that we're doing to educate the community. We want to be a resource. It doesn't matter where you are in the state. It's 2023.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Tiffany, how about you? How can community support you?
So we're embarking on expanding our seasonal holiday enjoyment box. So if you are a great brand and want to join our subscription services, as we look to really expand this portfolio of what our consumers are looking for in quality products, and part of that hostess with the mostest experience, please get in touch. We'd love to, amplify both each other and, of course, give consumers what they want and what they need in a beautiful, convenient packaging. So please get in touch for us that way, and follow us on Instagram, feel.SHOKi. And so, again, we're happy to meet as many of the community in New York as possible. And of course, as we get to know more of the women makers in this space and how we can help support each other, we're all we got. So let's lean in to each other for sure.
Thank you, Tiff. Adelia?
Yeah, we would love to work with more event organizers throughout the U.S. With us at EventHi, we see the importance of events and how they are, all of them are each an educational component. No matter what type of event they are, they're still educating for this plant and bringing community together. So we are just looking to work with more event organizers, or if you like attending cannabis events, go check out eventhi.io.
Perfect. I mean, I was gonna say, well, tell people how to get in contact with you, but I guess we did them both at the same time. I want to say thank you so much. It is a Friday, so I know what it takes to make yourself available to do a live. So I appreciate you all being here. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know all of you in some way, shape, or I've been following when you and Parisa started doing the blunt brunch. I was so excited. Tiff, you and I go way back. And Britni, since I met you like last year, like we talk all the time. So I think that is one thing that women do best than anywhere else, because I think like I would move if the chick who cuts my hair moved, I would move with her. Like, so we were the best at referrals. We were the best at bigging up our friends and people that we love and support. So thank you so much. Again, Britni Tantalo from Flower City Hydroponics, Tiffany Yarde from SHOKi Bev Corp or Feel.SHOKi, and Adelia Carrillo from EventHi and from the Blunt Brunch. I am Tanya from Women Grow. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. You got anything you want to just say before we head out? Everyone good?
Yeah.
Everyone's good. Wishing everyone a glorious 2023.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
everybody. Have a great
Thank you.
night. Thank you. And have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Bye.